Welcome to Better Than Ever Live, wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening. Hope you're making today your masterpiece. In today's show, we're going to talk about why having strange dreams might actually be good for you. We're going to talk about why remembering dreams or how remembering dreams makes you more creative, a diet change you might make to decrease your risk of antibiotic resistance, the best diet for stress, the best diet to improve your mood, and the worst sleeping position if you want to avoid or if you want to get facial wrinkles. I'm Dr. David Geier, double board certified orthopedic surgeon, sports medicine specialist, and media medical expert. I help you feel and perform your best regardless of age, injuries, or medical history. As always, please understand on this live show, I'm not giving you medical advice. This is meant for general information and educational purposes only. Also, if you have comments about some of the studies that I'm going to talk about in this live show, leave those in the chat. If you're on YouTube, do it in the chat, not in the comments below, because I can't see that. All I can see is the chat. Facebook, LinkedIn, do what you do. I'd love for you to tell me first name and where you're located. I always find that interesting, but I'd love to answer your comments. If I have time at the end of this show, I want to talk about something, just a real quick thing that's sort of a topic that gets at some that I've done earlier, sort of a pet peeve of mine that has come up that I want to sort of talk about. I'll do that at the end of the show if I have time. If not, I'll do it on tomorrow's show. Noon Eastern time. Join us for Ask Dr. Geier Live. If you have any orthopedic questions, injury questions, surgery questions, rehab type questions, recovery from injury type questions, I do those Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time every week. That's the only place, only time I answer injury questions. Still not medical advice, but hopefully gives you enough information to go talk to your orthopedic surgeon or talk to your doctor about your injury and be able to maybe have a little bit better insight of what you want to address and maybe get your thoughts across a little better. All right, let's talk about strange dreams. This is perfect timing. I planned this end of last week. I lay out the topics for the shows for the next week. And then this week, starting at about Sunday and every night this week, I have had the craziest dreams. Really, just bizarre. And I'm not one actually to remember my dreams very often, but they have been very weird. In fact, last night it woke me up. It was not the most pleasant dream ever. But there was a new study published in the journal eLife out of Switzerland, University of Bern. And we've all had these dreams, like it seems realistic in the moment, like while you're asleep, but then once you think about it when you're awake, it seems really bizarre. Well, it turns out that those dreams, those really strange dreams, actually help our brain learn and extract concepts from our prior experiences. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I tried to figure out this study. I didn't really understand the mechanics of it. I'm not great at sleep studies, but what they basically figured out was that when you're awake, when you're in non-REM sleep, when you're in REM sleep, all those phases of sleep have complementary functions of learning. Basically, while you're awake, you experience some sort of stimulus. Then while you're asleep, you solidify the experience. And then when you're dreaming, you discover concepts from that experience. So what the authors of the study think is that what they found is basically an evolutionary role for dreams. You're not exactly interpreting the exact meaning, but it's not a surprise they're bizarre. The bizarreness of your dreams serves a purpose. So don't worry so much about finding a deeper meaning. All your brain may be doing is just organizing different experiences throughout the day and sort of removing the things that are meant to be learning experiences, what you can gain from that, grow from that, remember from that kind of thing. According to them. I don't know, but maybe that's a good thing that I've been having really weird dreams. I think it's related. I've got Saturday, my written exam for the anti-aging and regenerative medicine boards. This last week, I've been studying like crazy. I've studied, an hour and a half a day since January or February maybe. But this last week, I've really been studying hard. I think the dreams are somewhat related to that, even though they have nothing to do with it in content. The fact that I'm having really weird dreams, that I remember the dreams, I've got to think that's the only thing really that's changed. Speaking of being able to remember your dreams, and I said that I typically do not remember mine, even though I did an interesting exercise in high school, because I've never been somebody that remembers dreams. But we had to do this exercise for a week in high school. I don't even remember what class. And first thing you did in the morning was get up and write your dreams. And if you make an effort to remember what your dreams are, it all comes back, and then I would remember it well into the day. Whereas if I didn't make that effort, no idea what I had dreamed about. Well, anyway, there's a new study that looked at dream recall ability and whether or not it was related to you being more creative. And what they found, I'll get to the take-home point, and then I'll explain what they did. But basically, they found that people who can frequently recall their dreams tend to be more creative. They have increased functional connectivity throughout their brain. This was a study published in the journal Nature and Science of Sleep, and it was a study done at UC Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, at their Center for Human Sleep Science. And what they do, they use various brain imaging techniques to figure out some of the neurophysiological differences between people who recall their dreams a lot and those that don't. They took 55 healthy young adults between 19 and 29. Turned out, ironically, almost half, 28, were high dream recallers. They were able to recall 6 dreams per week, which is pretty much every night. 27 of the 55 were low dream recallers. They could recall less than 1 dream per week, and normally that is me. What they found is high dream recallers and low dream recallers were very similar. Similar personalities, similar in terms of anxiety, similar sleep qualities, similar memories. What they found where there was a difference, high dream recallers had a significantly higher score, and I don't know this scale, this Guilford Uses Task Index, but what they found is the high dream recallers scored higher on that than the lower dream recallers, and that test or that index is a sign of greater creative abilities. So those of you that daydream, your mind wanders throughout the day, you get lost in your thoughts, that may not actually be attentional issues. That may be much more related to creativity. So maybe look at it as a good thing. I appreciate that. I don't know, Rayad, I appreciate that. All right, antibiotic resistance is a big deal. And I had, it's something you hear about over and over, more in the medicine world, maybe, internal medicine, family medicine, pediatrics, maybe than orthopedic surgery, even though in orthopedics, they prescribe a decent amount of antibiotics, at least for open fractures and things like that. And so antibiotic resistance is thought to be a big deal, meaning you have an infection, you give an antibiotic, normally that takes care of the infection. But if you keep giving antibiotics, especially for things that are not necessarily needing antibiotics, like people who take antibiotics for colds, which are a virus and it has very little if no effect, you create a situation where those bacteria then become resistant to the antibiotic. You have to give different antibiotics, and basically the fear among infectious disease doctors is we're getting to a point where the bacteria are going to be resistant to all the antibiotics we have, and the labs, the pharmaceutical companies are really, really quickly and aggressively trying to find more antibiotics, not having that much luck. New antibiotics come out very rarely. Well, this study found that healthy adults who eat a diet with 8 to 10 grams of soluble fiber a day have fewer antibiotic-resistant microbes in their guts. This was a study published in the journal MBio. Now, it was published by the Agricultural Research Service, and you know how I feel about funded studies in nutrition, and sometimes there's some bias, even though this maybe not as big of a deal, but just know that going in. But why it matters is a lot of the antibiotics or the microbes, the bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics, largely that is due to changes in our gut. And this is a huge problem with like tetracycline antibiotics, aminoglycosides, and it's a huge problem around the world, and it's expected to get even worse than it is now. And so this study is interesting because, again, that antibiotic resistance is largely based on our gut microbiome, and we have the potential especially according to this study, but we've kind of known this, to be able to influence our gut microbiomes. And so what they found out is those who ate regular doses, higher levels of fiber, lower levels of protein, lower levels of beef, lower levels of pork, significantly lower levels of antimicrobial resistance genes among their gut microbiomes. And so again, 8 to 10 grams of soluble fiber a day reduce those antibiotic resistant microbes in your gastrointestinal tract. Now, when we talk about soluble fiber, we're talking about grains. That's why I mentioned the Agricultural Research Society. But grains, beans, lentils, nuts. I'm a huge fan of almonds, so that would be one. And then obviously some fruits and vegetables. The more of that you can get, that may stave off a big problem should you ever need antibiotics in the future. All right, speaking of diets, I want to talk a little bit about stress and how you might overcome it with your diet. There is a concept that is worth talking about called allostatic load. Basically, the negative effects of stress on your body. Another way is to look at it is wear and tear on your body over time. Physical, obviously, but also mental, psychological, from overactivity, underactivity, lots of things that affect what's called your allostatic load, this stress level on your body. Well, this new study found that a certain eating habit could help reduce the stress, reduce that allostatic load. This was in the Journal of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. This came from over 5,000 adults that were part of that National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. And the researchers compared all these 5,000 people, looked at their allostatic load based on these biochemical markers in their blood. And what they found is people 31 and above that had the highest scores for a good quality diet had a lower risk of a high allostatic load. Healthy, balanced diet, it supports the immune system, nourishes, energizes the body against stressful events. Particularly important were omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for so many reasons, and vegetables. You add omega-3s and vegetables to a balanced diet, it regulates cortisol level, the stress hormone. Some of the other things they found, focus on your meal timings and eat at good times. Chew your food slowly for better digestion. I did this weightlifting program for a while, and the meal plan that came with that, the guy that created it wanted you to chew your food for 45 seconds every bite before you swallowed it. I tried that and I made it like 15. I couldn't do it. But that is also thought to help your diet, improve your digestion, and it would improve its effect on stress. Also, avoiding caffeinated drinks. We know not to drink tons of coffee, but it's not just coffee. It's energy drinks. It's soft drinks. Avoiding sugary snacks. Very important. And when you do carbs, focus on complex carbs because they keep your blood sugar levels stable, not the simple sugars, big spike, or, and the processed carbs, the breads and things like that, especially the white breads and things, huge spike in sugar, big drop in sugar. Complex carbs keep your blood sugar levels more stable. Also, they said, don't obsess too much about what you're eating because that can contribute to stress. Now that's kind of ironic because we want you to eat better. The key is to get onto a healthy, stable diet, plenty of grains, omega-3s, vegetables, and then make that your default so you're not stressing about it. All right, and then last thing about the diet is there a diet that might put you in a better mood, maybe stave off depression? This was a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and we've talked about this diet before. That is the Mediterranean diet. We've talked about it in terms of cardiovascular disease and aging, but this new study shows that it might actually improve symptoms of depression, at least for young men. Now, food alone can't cure mental health, but it could influence and give you better overall mental health. This was 72 men between the ages of 18 and 24 at a time that's when depression significantly goes up. 18 to 24, you're going out on your own, you're getting a job, all of that kind of stuff, and living. It's just a big source of change in your life, and so that tends to be a spike of depression. Anyway, the Mediterranean diet, for those of you that don't really know much about it, and I am a big fan of this, I'm gradually trying to switch my diet to this. Olive oil, in fact, it typically is thought 10 to 15, I've seen as high as 20% of your calories in the Mediterranean diet should come from olives and olive oil. I love olive oil. I put tons of it on everything, but olive oil, nuts, whole grains, oily fish like salmons, legumes like beans, colorful vegetables. The diet group in this compared to the control group, 5 to 8 servings of whole grains, 5 or more servings of vegetables, 2 or more servings of fruit, 1 serving of legumes, 1 serving of nuts and seeds, 3 servings of extra virgin olive oil, and 1 to 2 servings of dairy every day. I think the dairy is a little high, but that's what they recommended. Also, over the course of a week, 2 servings of fish, 2 to 3 servings of poultry, 1 serving of red meat. They were told to not eat more than 6 eggs a week, avoid processed meats, the bacons, the sausage, the hot dogs, that kind of thing, fried foods, and sugary drinks. All of the members that did, all the people in the study that did the diet, the Mediterranean diet, had their mental health improve. 36% of them rated their depressive symptoms low to minimal by the end of doing that every day for 12 weeks. Significantly better than the control group. Now, why is that potentially possible? Well, we don't know for sure, but it looks like the Mediterranean diet might affect our mental health and depression through some really important things. It seems to reduce systemic inflammation, which I've talked a lot about on this show as being a risk factor for, in my world, osteoarthritis, but cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, insulin resistance, obesity. There's so many age-related diseases and health impairments caused by systemic inflammation, so the Mediterranean diet seems to lower that. Reduces oxidative stress, again related to a lot of these health-related conditions. It supports the healthy gut microbiome, important for so many reasons. And it supports the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, which largely are made in our guts. And the Mediterranean diet seems to increase brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which promotes the growth and survival of nerve cells. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is facial wrinkles and the sleep position that may, or positions that may give you wrinkles. Now, this is not a study. I read this article. There was a dermatologist, Beth Goldstein. This is not a promotion of her, but she did this article, this interview with this journal or this magazine, and she talked about the sleep positions that could potentially give you facial wrinkles. And it's because as we get older, we get skin distortion from the compression, the mechanical compression during sleep, but also because as we get older, our skin loses some elasticity, and that compression could do more harm than when you're 20 and it bounces right back. Sleep wrinkles are a little different, she says, than laugh lines or crow's feet around the eyes, because this is force that's being placed on your face in certain sleep positions. All right, so what's bad? If you sleep on your stomach, you're putting a lot of stress on your facial skin. Again, not a big deal when you're younger, and I slept on my stomach when I was young. I did it for 20 or 30 years. And I just knew it was bad for you for a lot of reasons, especially orthopedic reasons, neck and back and things like that. So I taught myself to sleep on my back. But if you're older and sleep on your stomach, puts a lot of repeated stress on your skin. Again, not a big deal when you're young. You have great collagen, the supportive skin elements, so that compression goes away pretty quickly. But if you do it as an adult, sleeping on your stomach over time, that persistent pressure, persistent stretching could lead to sleep wrinkles. Now, here's the bad news for me. Now that I've gotten used to sleeping on my side, really comfortable that way, that can also lead to some facial wrinkles. Now, it may be a little different, and sleeping on your side is really good for a lot of reasons, but it can put, according to her, wrinkles not just on your face, but on your chest and neck, and a loss of volume, depending on which side you sleep on that side of your face, especially as you get older. Now, according to her, the best way to sleep to avoid wrinkles is sleeping on your back. Your face is not going to be against the pillow. There's no pressure, gravity, all that kind of thing. Now, here's the issue. if that's uncomfortable for you. And for me, it is. I cannot fall asleep sleeping on my back unless it's literally just a short nap. I won't be able to stay in that position. And for a lot of people, that's really uncomfortable. If it's not falling asleep like it is for me, it's things like reflux and sleep apnea and snoring. That may not be, yes, you may avoid wrinkles by sleeping on your back, but if you're not getting good enough sleep, that actually may be worse for your skin and for your facial skin and your aging and appearance than sleeping on your back benefits. The key is to get better quality sleep. So I get what she's saying about the mechanical pressure, but I would say if there's a position of sleep, especially because so many sleep experts say sleeping on your side is best for a lot of reasons, alignment of your spine and things like that, that whatever you're comfortable with, that may, if you get a good night's sleep, that may overcome as much as possible some of the mechanical compression for that type of sleep. So, for what that's worth. Ibrahim, what if you want to get protein intake for the gym in case you need to eat more eggs? Yeah, I'm not so anti-eggs. The Mediterranean diet is sort of moderate eggs, about 6 a week. I don't have a huge issue with it. I've gotten, there are a lot of people that are former. So the nutrition advice forever was that eggs increase cholesterol. I think that's largely been shot down recently. That's probably not so bad. I would argue that refined carbs and sugar and high sodium are probably worse for your cardiovascular system than eggs ever were. But having said that, yeah, good source of protein. But there's good sources of protein in the Mediterranean diet if you wanted to do that. The salmon and cold water fish can be really, really helpful. And there's plant-based proteins that could be good too. The key with the Mediterranean diet is that it's very low red meat, 1 serving or less a week, and it's no fried foods, which a lot of good diets discourage fried foods, but it's getting protein from lean cuts, it's from cold water fish, but some people say you can get it from bison and lean chicken, things like that. So that's kind of what I would think about it. Nagla, I may be saying that wrong. I'm sorry. Sleeping on my back's really not comfortable for me. I can't sleep in that position. I have never been able to, which is funny because I can take naps there 15, 20, 30 minutes, but I cannot fall asleep at night on my back. I have tried and tried and tried when I was younger. Just didn't work. So I had to go back to sleeping on my stomach, which even when I was younger bothered me. I'd wake up with neck pain, lower back pain. But I taught myself to sleep on my back, and now it's just, or I'm on my side, and it's just what I do. All right, keep the comments coming if you have any thoughts. If you have an orthopedic question and you want me to talk about that, join us tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Time for Ask Dr. Geier Live. If you want to come see me in person, you want to talk about treatments more than cortisone and surgery and physical therapy, I am happy to talk to you about all your options. I'm a double board certified, hopefully soon triple board certified orthopedic surgeon, sports medicine specialist, anti-aging and regenerative medicine expert, and I am happy to do that. I see patients in the Charleston, South Carolina office. If you go to the description below this video, it's got my website, drdavidgeier.com. Go to the Work With Me tab, drops down to Contact, you fill that out, gets to be my assistant, and we can potentially help you set that up. Also, if you like topics like this, health, wellness, nutrition, exercise, sleep, mental health, aging, longevity, all that kind of good stuff, make sure to subscribe to my channel, ring the bell to be notified when I'm either release a new video or whenever I'm on live, and you'll get all this kind of great stuff. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday. Make sure you tell your friends about it too. I know a lot of people really like this type of thing. Finally, make sure to subscribe to the podcast Better Than Ever Live, wherever you get your podcast. In case you can't be here live, you can listen to it later. And the Better Than Ever Daily podcast, Monday through Friday, every day. Tip 1 minute or less, things you can do to be healthier, live longer, feel great, and perform your best. I'll get to my rant. Just so you know, it's about peptides and where to get peptides and where not to get peptides. So join us tomorrow for Ask Dr. Geier Live if you want to hear me talk about that, something that happened with one of my friends yesterday that I feel like is worth talking about. I won't mention her by name or the particular company, but I do think it's worth talking about. So, and Nagel, you're so welcome. Thank you so much. There is thought that eggs can increase. That whole good cholesterol, bad cholesterol is a little misleading. Even the quote-unquote good cholesterol, HDL, can become dysfunctional, and so high levels don't necessarily imply a good thing. But yes, I'm generally not all that opposed to eggs. I love hard-boiled eggs. I love over easy eggs. I'm not sure I'd do 6 or 8 a day necessarily, but I think there can be a lot of good in them. Okay, join us on Friday, tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern. If you have orthopedic questions or if you know people that do, send them this way. That's only on YouTube. Make sure you know that, and there's no podcast version of that. Otherwise, I will see you next week for Better Than Ever Live. Have a fantastic rest of your night.